profile. Well, I don't know if I can. I don't know what kind of modeling you're talking about. Color might know more about it. Y'all good to go? We're good? Y'all are good? Is this how they're standing?
No.
Okay. Don, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. We're going to go ahead and get ready to get started. The kids are going to help us out. Malachi, how you like the stage? We're getting started with it. You like this? Ain't all of it. This ain't all of it. We're just getting started. How y'all like it?
Good.
Y'all like it good? Are y'all excited for Rejoice? You need more water? Oh, you want it wider? Okay, well there might be more of these somewhere. We'll have to see. We're excited about it. Good to have Wyatt helping us out on the keyboard, Elijah on the drums. Malachi is going to be leading us in song, and we got the choir there in the back. And Nehemiah, you're going to welcome everybody and do all that tonight. They fought over who would be able to do this, by the way. They wanted to know if all three of them could do it. But we'll let Nehemiah do it tonight, and then you can do it next week. Just remind us, okay? All right, so you're going to ask everybody to stand up and welcome to church and pray, okay?
Everybody stand to the feet. Everybody stand to the feet. And we're gonna sing some songs, and I'm gonna pray for all of y'all. So bow your heads and close your eyes. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for these people that got to be here for this church. Hope you heal the people that are in the hospital. Help me and my friends up here worshiping you, Lord. Help us sing for you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Y'all remain standing. They're going to lead us in song.
soul. Joy all around me, everywhere I go. Even in the desert, still it overflows. Oh, I've got joy. Yeah, I've got joy never ending, 'cause you called my name. Every breath I breathe, a testament of amazing grace. Oh, hallelujah, everything has changed. Oh, I've got joy, yeah, I've got joy. Gave me beauty for ashes, turned my life around. You broke my chains, and now I dance on solid ground. my life around. He broke my chains, and now I dance on solid ground. For all He's done to save me, I'm gonna raise my voice. I've got Jesus, so I've got joy. I've got Jesus, so I've got joy. I invite you to sit down now. Just stand up. Younger kids in the back, y'all can go into y'all's class. Weston, Wyatt, Elijah, y'all not got a fusion room? Stand in here. Thank you.
Okay, just a little preview. Y'all, yeah, if y'all come to the center, that'd be awesome. Just a little preview of what we're doing. This is just a piece of what we're doing when we come to Rejoice. Starting on the 24th, we're doing a community initiative. Come on, let's see if we can get them to stay. Let's see if me or Cynthia flip off first. Did you bring my questions too as well, Cynthia, or just yours? Just yours. Well, that's okay. Malachi, on Miss Cynthia's desk in the back should be just a little piece of paper with questions on it. That's mine, okay? So do that for us. What I enjoy about our kids is they got some enthusiasm, don't they? This little group's got a little enthusiasm. I'm sure if we could take Malachi far enough back in time and we could find a couple clips of his granddad singing and doing his thing, that he would really realize that it's inherited. It's inherited. Those genetics of I've got to move while I sing. He's going to do a great job, and he's doing a great job, and it's cool watching it. And I think that's the first teenager we've had sing with a mic, right, Todd? Would be Wyatt. I mean, we haven't had another teenager jump up there and sing. Well, I'm talking about playing the piano. No, we really don't usually do that. So we threw him up there, made him play and sing with us. Miss Cynthia's coming on up. We're going to continue our interviews with church leaders. Next month is going to be interviews with community leaders. And the sheriff will be with us the very first week of February. So that's going to be a fun time together. And what I've made mention of is we're going to make sure that our job is to find out how their faith intertwines with their role in the community. And that's going to be a big deal for us as a church, because that matters in governance, right? How does someone's faith go along with how it's going to how they operate, and where their joy comes from, and what their vision is for what they do, and how that includes us, what we can do to be a part of that. Miss Cynthia, come on. I know I'm probably in your way here. We gave this is only about a third of what we've got built and ready to go. It's been built out of good lumber, so I appreciate that, because we're going to be taking these stages outside when we work in the community, when we're invited to sing, when the kids get an opportunity, and we want them to last. We don't want to build something that falls apart. We did that before. Years ago, we built stages that were not built out of treated lumber, and they did last a little while, but after a while, the profit fell, and so we had to move on. And so this is going to be used in our Rejoice initiative. There will probably be 0 chairs. I'm not sure how Todd and his team's putting it together. There'll probably be no chairs here in the center. This will be standing room only, and everything will work in a different dynamic during Rejoice. We'll start on the 24th. That's an evening service on a Friday night, 6:30 for whole community. Gives us a chance to rehearse through what we're doing, but it also gives you a chance to come and worship, bring a friend, a family member. Gives us a chance to connect with other people as well. So that's going to be fun. And then the 26th is all music. All right, we're going to worship God and honor God through testimony and song, and it's going to play out. And so we're going to add a different dynamic to what we do. We're not just going to perform from here or sing from here or worship from here. The band will all be spread out through here, and then the stage ain't going to look like this, but we're going to throw the stage out and get all the people we can to stand and worship with us, because that's what we're going to be aiming toward. Pretty cool thing that we're going to be we're going to be doing, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started. And Miss Cynthia is with us, and I'm excited to ask her some questions. I'm excited for her answers, and I'm excited for the insight that she's going to give all of us that's in the church, that labor here, that love here, and really interested in her story. How many of y'all been keeping up with her story on Facebook and watching some of that transitioning from just being a secretary to being a voice for those that are in need, a voice for those that are vulnerable, a voice for those who need to be elevated. And I like that about what she's going to be doing here, and we're excited about that role that's coming up, and that'll definitely be something we bring to the forefront here during our conversation together. And of course, we'll open the floor for questions toward the end of our time together. Okay, we're going to ask Todd, who is her loving and just devout husband and a pastor here at the church, to open us in prayer, and then we're going to go ahead and get started.
Father, I thank you for all that you've done for us. I thank you for tonight. I thank you for refreshing worship with your kids. You give us some energy, you give us some passion for it. Lord, I pray that won't go away. I pray that as they go into their older teenage years, eventually as an adult, that the passion for worship will stay with them, that they can lead us in it, Lord, when they get older. They can be the ones leading the charge for it. I pray tonight that you'll let us glean some insight, some experience, and some faith that we hear in these stories. And Lord, I pray that you get all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
You are welcome to share this on your Facebook page if that's what you would like to do. That's what I was just doing while Todd was praying. Probably somewhat not sanctimonious, but very something positive I can do before we get started. So I guess a question that if I was a part of a church, Cynthia, do you mind telling everybody how old you are? Do you know?
I'm 29 today.
All right. So you're 29 years old, and how long have you been?
Oh, no.
How long have you been part-time or full-time in church, as far as a staff, paid person, part-time or full-time?
5 years? I think 5 years.
Okay, so we'll stick with that because I don't know either. So it sounds like a good guess.
Part-time, I think 6. Full-time, I think 5.
Okay, so around 6 years you've been here, so almost 20 since you were 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't put you as an old
No.
church member or somebody that had occupied a role where you had helped administrate a role at church. And so how did you end up here? Not only you're a secretary, but how did you end up you're on the BKids board? That's a big, important thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Those that are older than you in the faith have to believe in you, trust in you, to follow you in the BKids board in that avenue. But also, being a secretary here, we trust you for communication and all kind of other things. So how'd you end up in such, I hate to say prominent roles, but necessary roles, and roles that help keep the church functioning? How'd you end up in that type of position?
First, well, of course, I started going here when I was 12. And so I was able to volunteer and different things like that anytime that I could. And then later on in my adult life, after work, I was able to do some more volunteer things because then I was able to get out on my own and, all those little things. It started by volunteering after work. Most of the time what I would do would be call first-time guests or set up the BKids area. At that point, BKids was my main thing. And then I've always kind of been a people person, so I've enjoyed making phone calls and things like that, so I was able to connect with people there. And then I would also do imputes, which that's not my favorite thing, but it was something that was needed, so I would do that. And then some funds, I guess, opened up at the church, so I was able to I was working at the garden center at that time, by the way. So I was working at the garden center doing that, volunteering after work. Then I transitioned a little bit at the garden center and got a new position, and I became a landscape designer. And with that, I was able to have weekends off along with Mondays. And so on Monday, I would come and work for the church when the funds opened up, and they compensated me for that time. And at that time, Miss Samantha was the full-time secretary. I still think it was kind of a part-time job. It was kind of amongst different people. So she would work a few days a week, and I would work on Mondays doing those same things pretty much that I was doing plus a few other things like communication and different things like that. And then before work, going to the farm and doing the landscape drawings, I would come in on Tuesdays to yours and Miss Tara's house, and we would meet to get ready for the next week that was coming up, or whatever events that we may have that I may volunteer for after work. And then Todd and I got married, and the first year that he was in college, he stayed in college Monday through Friday, would come home Friday night, and was there Friday through Friday through early Monday morning. Then that would continue. So anyways, at that time, still there was not a full-time position open at the church. But at the same time that Miss Samantha moved on and got a different job, Todd graduated college and signed a contract with the high school. And at that point, we were able to, since we wouldn't be solely relying on one person's income, Todd was going to take that on now because he was able to have a job here locally. I was able to shift that job, and a job actually became open at the church. And preacher, of course, came to me and asked if that's something that I would want to do, if I was willing to do that. And the end-all goal was always to be here. So that was always my dream, my goal was to be here. And Adam did know that. And so Adam is preacher's brother.
That was a fun conversation because he relied on Cynthia heavily. And
Yeah.
I called and had to let him know that I was going to be reaching out.
I'm glad you
and
called
offering
first, by the way.
offering the job to you because it was the right thing to do, and that you were welcome to turn it down. And he really appreciated me for a little while. He really thought a lot of me there. But,
Yeah, well, it was slow though. It was a very slow transition.
It
It
was
was like 2 months before I actually
That's not
took
that slow.
that on. No, it's
Billy
kinda
Boland
slow.
said, "Do it quick."
Yeah, that wasn't the Billy Boland way. He would have gave 2 weeks notice probably and moved on.
So you've done a lot. So this is what I remember about Cynthia was helping with like big events. And when I say helping, you were at that point maybe doing a sign team or helping with one of the drama skits. You did a lot, maybe from cleaning the church, but I would think maybe the very first thing you ever did was open the door.
Yeah.
You were probably a greeter. And so that was one of the first things you ever did was you were a door holder. And you were faithful to it, and you enjoyed it. And I'm not sure you expected to do anything else.
Nope.
And you know what? That means something. It means something when you do something that well, and you're really not expecting, like, hey, I'm doing this now. Where's my next thing? Like, where's my promotion? From being door holder to, like, but you went from being a door holder to volunteering in the junior ministry as you got older. We even had you on stage singing at one time.
Thank God I don't do that.
We do have video of that somewhere. Hit play. No, we didn't. Yeah, Cullen will remember somebody singing. So you done. I mean, I don't know if there's anything here you haven't done. Honestly, I mean, you haven't played the drums or piano.
Thank God for that.
But worship ministry, hospitality, BKids, big events, secretarial role, outreach roles. I really can't. You've run this production, so you've done a little bit of everything, and so now you're working primarily as a secretary, and still involved with the BKids pretty heavily. That's still where your heart's at some level, and you got kids, so that's definitely going to be there. So with that said, with those things, since you started ministry to where you are now, what's been like the driving force to stay in ministry? Now, one thing that you've had that's been a blessing, and you might not even know it, is we're not a restrictive church body. So we're Baptist in doctrine and in faith and by our conviction. But we've never said, we've never tried to put young women or ladies under some kind of restriction of, we're not going to let you serve or whatever. So you've had that grace, which has been awesome. You've been able to minister about it. You've done everything but preach, right? Yeah. So you've had a lot of those roles. But what's been the driving force? You've had freedom to do it, but on your own accord, what's been the driving force behind all these steps, transitions, staying with it, cleaning the church, cleaning commodes, washing windows, washing cars, helping with mission weeks, all those things, princess banquets that you hold? What's been the driving force?
I've always loved serving, so that's kind of probably why you said I've served pretty much anywhere that I could, anywhere that I was needed. I've always enjoyed seeing people's discipleship elevated, and so like with the BKids, in the Fusion Room, different places like that. And then I've really always loved seeing the vision come through. So the pastor here and his family mean the world to me. And I truly believe that if he's got a vision, it's from God. And so I've always wanted to see that happen.
Okay, well, it's got to be a driving force. There's always a driving force. Like for me in Bible college, I just wanted to know more. There was no big I just had a thirst for knowledge. I wanted to know enough so that I could share the truth of God's word with somebody. I didn't know who that somebody was. So the driving force for me was just to know more about the Lord, to know him, as Paul would say. I wanted to know him. I wanted to know God. I wanted to know what God thought about things, what God knew about things, how God wanted me to act, how God wanted me to behave, how I could transfer that information to other people. So the driving force for me was knowledge at the time, and that is still one of the major driving forces for me, is to know God and to know his word and to share it with others. So I don't think that main driving force ever goes away. But has there been any miniature forces outside of I just love serving and love seeing? Has there been like these little miniature driving forces? Anything that's like subcategories to the main thing that has pushed you through the years?
It just brings me joy. And so I say little things like I know I keep going back to the BKids and stuff, but I like seeing little things happen and seeing accomplishments and seeing those different things being made. So whenever I get a project laid in front of me, I guess a driving force sometimes is just that thing getting to be accomplished and be done, and seeing the joy that comes out of that.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. So you've been here. I can go back and say, I think you started January of 2020. I'm really about positive because I think COVID happened right after, and you were thrown into a whole bunch of stuff that you were not ready to be thrown into. So I'm guessing we're right at the 5-year mark, and you went through all that it took to make those COVID challenges happen to keep ministry going. So I'm sure that was a great challenge. But what's the greatest challenge that you faced? The greatest challenge you've seen, or the greatest conflict, and how have you seen it overcome? It could be personally, could be church-wide, however.
Yeah, challenges within the church, I think they come, but those haven't been probably the hardest things for me. The most challenging thing, and this is kind of hard to say because I'm coming out of a season like this, is going through ministry, having to do the motions because I'm just in a season where I'm not joyful, or where I don't have, where I'm just not at my best. And so that is the hardest part of ministry, I think. There's always a work to be done, no matter how you feel in the moment. And what gets me through that is I've got a great husband. The reason I married him is because he's so level-headed, and it brings such balance to my life. So he's always able to speak encouragement to me and just tell me the reality of what's actually going on, and who I am in those moments and things like that. And then I've also got Miss Tara is my best friend in ministry, my best friend, period. And so anytime I'm going through that, finally when I'm able to open up and get to that breaking point and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, and I'm just very blatantly honest with her, she's able to remind me of different things, tell me that I actually am tell me my worth, tell me I'm good, different things like that, and clinging to the promises that God has given me. So she reminds me of those as well. She lets me know, hey, you still have a lot of things to be joyful about, and these are some things that God's given you, and these are some of the promises that he has.
I'll say something about ministry is even when you don't have the emotion, the motion must continue. Mm-hmm. Been there a lot. That's not something, if you've pastored or done ministry 22 years, you have seen those seasons a lot. If you've been a Christian any length of time, you've seen those seasons where I'm going through the motions, what's wrong with me? Well, you're human. That's what's wrong with you. And you've got to understand that something me and Brother Travis, me and Brother Derek, and friends that are in ministry with me, Pastor Keith, even we don't feel like doing our work, we still have a calling. How we feel about that calling has to take a second has to take a second, has back seat, and we've got to really focus on, we've got to focus on the ministry itself, and understand that what we're doing, like you said, the promise of God, we're going to have fruit. God is going to bless the endeavor. God is doing something supernatural in your life. When you can't sense or feel him, he is still there. And like I said, going through the motions when there's not emotions, or if the emotions are negative, or the emotions are like, I'm really not seeing anything done. The crazy thing is, I can relate to this, even though I'm a guy, I'm not a lady. I did go through some of the same stuff because I had two kids about the same age that you have, Selah and Ellie, apart, and they did have to work with me. And so I went through, and Tara was on the road working, so I went through a couple years of where I was basically doing church ministry with them in my lap. My house flooded twice. Like, seriously, like they flooded the tub, and I was trying to cook supper and just water pouring down from the second floor to the first floor. And I go up there to a 2-year-old whose head is bobbing in the tub just above water, and it's Nehemiah, and water's just pouring and pouring out the ceiling, and I'm like getting him out, make sure he don't drown, and I'm throwing towels all around the tub, and I'm running downstairs, and I'm steady mopping up the water, and it keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming. And I've been there when they're sick, and I'm trying to do church work, trying to do emails, trying to communicate with whoever was helping or being part-time, and Tara popping in and out to breastfeed, honestly, from work to breastfeed Nehemiah, and moving him to a bottle, so Dad's bottle feeding and doing ministry. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, I did nothing. I did nothing. I'm worth nothing. And Tara come home and be like, well, you took care of the kids and you did get this done. And back then we had a vibrant emailing ministry and devotional ministry, and I was writing all of our sermons out. I was writing all the lessons for the church. She's like, well, you're getting all that done. And let me tell you the craziest thing, and it's hard to believe, but the craziest thing is I'll go back through my emails when I'm looking for something, and I'll find these documents, like the stuff I wrote, and I'll read it, and I'll be like, who wrote this? And it's not bad. It's actually so good, I don't even know how it even flowed through to get there. I'm like, so during that, when I wasn't feeling it all, God was definitely working through me. I didn't feel it at all. I was like, man, that stinks. That lesson's terrible. And then I'll go back and look up my old sermons and say, man, that's fire. Look at that quote there. Like, look at that line there, man. We need to go back to that. That was it. But I didn't know it. It was the good times of my theological time, and I wasn't even present to be there. But I look back and like, man, God was helping me. I didn't know it, but man, God was working through me. And I'll say this, out of those couple years where I was just, I remember about 10% of it negatively. The other 90% is nothing but joy. I mean, I do remember burning food while Tara was working 12, 16-hour shifts. I do remember y'all flooding the house. And I remember y'all letting the dogs, Aslan was young, letting him out to eat all the trash and spread it all over the downstairs. Yeah, I know, funny boy. So what I'm saying is, I think you speak on behalf of a lot of people that do ministry and that do life. Moms, dads, ministry or not, when we do life, sometimes like I don't feel present with them. I just feel like I'm going through the motions. Anybody? Just okay. God's with you, and God's working something supernatural on your behalf. Trust that. Trust that obeying Him is going to turn into something completely crazy, beyond what you can imagine. I could talk all night about that because I resonate with that feeling big time. So this is cool. So both your husband and your pastor are pastors. Okay? You work in a role within the church where Todd and I are overseers. There's been times where we've had to say, hey, we don't want this, we don't like this, we want you to do this or that, or maybe something you had a great vision for, we squashed it. I don't know. I don't know if that's happened, probably. Malachi, there you go. How do you balance those two relationships, knowing this, that I've known you since you were 12, you've been friends with my wife, at a point in time was helping raise my kids. So that's a closeness relationship. You're married to Todd and got 2 kids. That's a pretty close relationship. But you're also responsible to answer us in like a work role. How does that work? Give us some balance. Get real with us. Tell us, because, is there a role, is that role hard? Does it create complications, or does it make it better? Or just walk us through that balance there.
I think in most cases it does make it better. I think in most cases it does. The only time where I'd say that this is just being honest, because this is my personality.
Tell it all.
I think some people don't know about me. I can be a little fiery, and they are the closest people to me. And so not being fiery whenever a vision gets squashed or whenever I'm told that stinketh is very hard. But at the end of the day, I do know that we have a very open line of communication, and so there are boundaries that are set as far as they are my leaders. So I do respect that. At the end of the day, I really do respect that. I really do respect both of y'all as my leader, and I think that's right biblically. I think that's right in the job force, and I think if there's any kind of conflict or issue, whatever the case may be that arises, I know we can communicate it out.
Has there ever been a time you just wanted to cuss one of us out?
Nope.
Why is Dad laughing so hard? I think Todd's writing something up there. He kind of went to look into writing. He was done. I don't. You answered that very quick, so I'm gonna move on. I could ask some questions here. But I think, let me stop for a second though and say this. It's very important to have respect for one another, mutually. And that's within the church. I think it's very important. Brother Scott's not considered a deacon or an elder, but I think as a teacher, it's very appropriate for the elders and other leaders and for people within the church to respect that you're carrying the gospel for us at times. That's a high role. So I think there's some dignity. And you say, well, that person put, the old phrase in the South is that person puts their pants on the same way I do. Well, first off, I'm glad y'all wear pants. It's wonderful. Glad you brought that to our attention. But secondly, there is something that magnifies the gospel when you magnify those who serve. There'll be some that stay over after service and help clean the church. That should be those that are the greatest servants will be the greatest leaders. They are owed, no matter if they're a son or younger, or no matter what their role is in the church, there's still supposed to be a huge respect there. Those who lead us in worship, no matter if they're 11 or if they're 37 or 45, there should be a role of respect. Mr. Joey Gunnels, he built the stages for us. We got more back there, and he helped us out with that, right? Mm-hmm. And he don't go to church here, but there should be a respect that he would take time. It's very dangerous when you go into disrespect mode. Matter of fact, if you want the pastor to act like David, not my brother David, but King David, disrespect the other shepherds. Cynthia can be fiery. Cynthia has a very type A personality. She's in charge. She's in command. And she kind of tampers some of that down in some of her roles. She don't want to come off disrespectful, so she tampers down that nature. Sometimes in my role, by the force of the gospel, I cannot tamper it down. So what I don't like is disrespect amongst the congregation. If one member disrespects another member's work, time, person, I am liable to come off the chain. And you say, well, I can handle it. I'm glad. Because it's something I'm actually pretty good at that I shouldn't be. But when there's a disrespect amongst the congregation, pastors should not be passive aggressive. That's the spirit of Satan. That's a demonic, satanic spirit, not to have a mutual, healthy gospel respect for each other's service, their work, and what they do. And I abhorred it. I abhorred it. And I will fight it. And I will die on that hill. Because it's a good one to die on. Because it's what the gospel commands. So, Todd, I'll say this. Sam's out there. He might be listening. He tries, really, Sam does. He does listen to everything we do when he's not able to be in. But Todd, as pastors, we are to abhor when others can't celebrate each other. Because there's sin. There's sin in that person's life that's causing them to not have joy and bringing discontent amongst others. And our job is to let love be without dissimulation, abhorred. Who wants to define abhorred? I think that, okay, because Mr. SSAT here had to learn the word. He's been doing a lot of extra work preparing for he's wearing a prep school hoodie. I don't know what that means, but that is a prep school. All right, tell us, what's abhorred mean, young scholar? To despise vehemently, almost with hatred. So this is near hatred. So the Bible says that we are to abhor that which is evil and to hang on with all of our might intimately to that thing that is good. So pastors, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he wrote this. he would smash his church members. Literally, like the stuff that he wrote was in the conversations he recorded of how he handled individuals that were not living about the grace of God. He had no tolerance. And he was a 20-something-year-old pastor at the time. But we would call it bite your head off and spit down the hole. That's how he was that. But we should not give any room to celebrating discontentment or disrespect. It's celebrated in our society, and our society is literally falling off into hell. We as a church do not celebrate it, so we won't. So I agree with what you're saying there. What is one thing one thing you would get in a time portal, travel through the multiverse, and tell young Cynthia that you think is very important for her to know?
Okay, so I did write this down because this was one thing that was, one of the little bit probably harder questions. But anyways, I've recently actually looked at Todd and said, did you ever think that you could have the things that we have? And I don't mean just like the monetary things that we have, because I do think we live, I think we live modestly, but I think we have been shown very much unmerited favor, just favor that we don't deserve at all. But not only that, I would tell her, I'd say, you're going to grow up to be a confident woman, because I lacked a lot of confidence growing up. And I would also say you're going to make a very big impact around in the lives around people for Jesus that you're around. And you're going to be blessed greatly.
That'd be a good message. And that's a message I think I think it's a message that we all can cling to, is that you're valuable even where you're at. And when you're not confident in yourself, you get pushed one way or the other, and you miss parts of yourself that you really could enjoy. Mm-hmm. It happens, right? So I think we all would like to go back and tell our younger selves to explore more, have more confidence, be involved more, listen.
Yeah, that would have been a good thing to tell her too.
No amen from Dad back there, but okay, he's just smiling. This is not on your paper.
Oh boy, I was hoping he wouldn't do this.
But this is important. We talk about restoration in the church. You are actually a product of what true restoration looks like. with that said, I know you haven't had to do a lot of work of reconciliation or restoration, but how much power is in being reconciled to God, reconciled to the church? How big of a game changer is that? How supernatural is, because a lot of people never cross that, so they never experience. If you never take on the pressure, don't ever ask for the glory. So you cross a line in what most people wouldn't do, and that is asking for reconciliation, restoration. Did you feel like that was a supernatural work? Did you feel supernatural favor at that point? Was there something godness in that, God-like, that you could tell that was not normal?
Yes.
Okay. Can you?
Yeah, I can.
Can you elaborate any on that?
Yeah. At the point that I needed restoration was one of the most broken times I've ever been through. It was hard. It was a time where I needed to take a step back from ministry, and that in itself is a sting whenever you're heavily involved anyways.
That was your life.
Yep, it is my whole life. And so that's hard. When you're in the midst of it, it's very humiliating, as far as like you're humbled, but you're also humiliated as the reason why you're there even in the first place. But when you cross the line and you're actually like in the process of being restored and you're coming out on the other end, there's nothing else like it unless you take that step of actually being restored. And you can't do it alone. I don't think, I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's biblical. I don't think you can do it without others around you. And I had an entourage of people that were around me during that time, making sure I was going to get through no matter what. And that was a hard point in my life to get through, because I had a hard heart. I had a lot of things that had to be restored and brought forth. And yeah, so that was a big turning point in my life. And it led me every step of the way to where I am now.
So from the outside looking in, and of course Tara and I was involved, and Sam was involved, Brandon Dobson was involved. From those that I know that were involved, we look back, and honestly at that point in time, I look back at that, and I've never really seen, we've always encouraged it, but I've never seen people take the step. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure that was something you were going to do either. So I didn't know it was on the other side. I didn't know it was going to be on the other side for you. I didn't know it was going to be on the other side for Todd. No idea. But looking back, and this is something that me and Derek England thought about too, because he went through the same process on a much deeper, harder level, and would love to have him come talk about that one day, and he would, because Derek's a man's man, and he believes in the grace of God, and he's not scared at all. But I've never seen a couple have so much favor from that point on to where you're at right now. Never. I've never seen it. Everywhere I turn around, I look at it. Even to this day, there's still favor flowing from that stream of grace that's being poured in y'all's life. I've never seen anything like it. So my thing would be this: you saw it on one level, and you're sensing it on one level. From us that observed it, I've never seen anything like it, honestly. So if you ever get to a point in your life where you need restoration, you say, "Man, that's the hardest thing in my life to do is to make a public confession that I've got this issue, that I need prayer, that I need accountability, that I want whatever church discipline is, because I whatever it takes." If you're there, if anybody ever gets there, cross over, because I don't know what's, it was I think it was the prophet Nathan, right? Am I right on this? Prophet Nathan that approached David. And he said, he gave you the kingdom and everything in it. And he said that if you just would have held fast, I'd have given you such and such things. You're living in the such and such things. You would have never knew what was in that bag of whatever the such and such was. But you've been able to pull out the such and such. Yep. And that right there that's a big deal. That's what Christianity is about. It's about the such and such that a lot of people miss. That, you know, one person said that they think whenever your rewards are revealed in heaven. I can't prove this biblically, but it was in their mind that there's going to be, God's got like a closet, and he's going to open it up and say, here's all the such and such, okay? Look, this is all the stuff in your present life you could have got if you just would have been obedient. Yeah, you made it to heaven, congratulations, but look at all the stuff that you could have been involved with. Look at the big buffet, but you wanted to be hard-hearted and hard-headed, so it's just one of those ideas that there's so much for us if we'll abide by the words of Christ. So just that. So let's move on because our time's rolling out. How important is it to your own, for your role that you play, to do your own studying and work on educating yourself?
It's very important, and I'm glad that I have people that make me do it. Because it's not that I am it just for a very small reason why it's hard. It's because I'm a very slow reader, and so it takes me a lot of time to get through something and to educate myself, just on that little level. But anyways, right now I'm reading this book, and actually so far it's been interesting. I've gone through 6 pages, and that took me probably 20 minutes to read 6 pages. So I've gone through 6 pages of the book that Miss Tara gave me, and it's on fundraising. And the way the author wrote's great and things like that, but I'm doing that because I want to be good at what I do, because I believe in what I do. And so I think to be educated in those things, if I believe in it and they're going to be successful, that it's very important to do.
Agreed, 100%. Anything you're doing in ministry, get a book. You know, you're going to sing. If you're going to worship, get a book. Amen. Worship leader, pastor. I mean, if you're going to work,
He's the reader.
But I'm talking about these younger guys. If they're going to really take it to the next level, get a book. Somebody's been there, done it better, done it right, got good stuff. Whatever you're going to do, you teach children, get a book. You want to be a deacon, get a book. Get a lot of books. You want to be an elder, read your Bible, get a book, and make that a big deal. Reading is leading. You're going to be a evangelist, a door knocker, get a book. It'll help you. So let's move on. We've talked months about, you and I personally have talked months about entering a philanthropy role where you help direct fundraising and initiatives that helps elevate the community. And we say the community, we're not just aiming at the poor or the young or the old or the disabled. We're talking about the community, looking at elevating them. It's a big vision. It's actually massive, more massive than what we're going to talk about here tonight, because it can be like, can we really do this? The answer is yes. And so we've talked about that. So it's supposed to make the church, give it a brighter future, and it's supposed to minister to the community. Where's your excitement level on that, and what are some of the first steps you're going to take?
I'm very excited about it, for a couple reasons. One, I do think that it aligns with some of my passions and my gifts that I have. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy seeing the church do well financially, because when the church does well financially, we can do big things in the community. So first and foremost, that's why I'm excited about that. What are some of the first steps we're going to take?
What have we done? What's some of you?
Okay, so what have we done on a small scale of this is we've opened up like a dollar and change Facebook page. And through that, we've raised over $600 within like a week's time, which is really cool. And most of it's from people with outside the church. So they really believe in what we're doing as well. With that money, we've been able to get 6 heaters and a meal for a family. And we're looking to raise $1,000. My goal is by the weekend. That way we can get 10 heaters to people, because I think this coming Monday, Tuesday is going to be some really cold weather again, and we don't want people to go without heat there. So that's kind of on a small scale, and that's going to evolve and do different things along the way as well. That is our small goal mission right now. On a bigger scale, right now I've got a meeting set up with somebody tomorrow at lunch, and I'm going to share the vision of what we have for the philanthropy, and that's from getting a warehouse in the back together to where we can make repairs on different things like washers and dryers, different appliances that like people like Brother Larry have a gifting for, and he's able to go in and fix it. He's done mine before that cost me like $6 instead of having to go out and buy a whole new washer and dryer set for $250 or whatever they are now. Don't even know. But he's done that for several people throughout the community as well. And then we're going to keep going further as far as educating people, creating bigger events for people that creates connections within the community, and taking people just kind of giving them a push like over that next step to say, okay, if we help you here, I think you really can be successful there. And so I'm going to meet with somebody and give them a pretty big ask. And that's kind of what I'm tasked with to do is ask big and get people to buy into the vision that we've got with elevating people.
Sure. I cut my mic off. So that's exciting. It's something that you usually don't hear about in churches, especially around here. It's not something that is new to nonprofits. It's not something that's new at all around the world. And a philanthropist is just somebody who invests in others. Mm-hmm. It can be $1. It can be $10. It can be $100. It can be 1,000. It can be $1 million. The bigger pool of money, the more resources you have, the more good you can do. And that's kind of what you're tasked with, is building that network. And I think it's possible. But philanthropy is not just to rest on the church. When we say we want to raise $1,000 for heaters, that's not asking.
Right.
What we're saying is we're reaching into the community.
Yeah.
And trying to get people in the community to buy into that, to put out. And so we want to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, organization in this area eventually that is helping people elevate.
Yeah.
Helping single moms who won't get a job because they don't have daycare find daycare. Finding the guy who's been incarcerated but doing very well and trying to find them a ride to work every day, trying to make sure they have a vehicle. Mm-hmm. There are so many things statistically and psychologically we can do to help single moms, people that's coming out of prison situations, people that are coming that are just natural people that aren't necessarily poor, but you can do stuff to bless them that takes that burden off them so they can continue to invest in the community. And so there's a massive economic impact, a massive educational impact, and a massive impact we can make with this. So I think the church should be praying over it, asking right questions, and the main thing is follow Dollar and Change right now to learn more about it. And as you might be somebody that wants to get involved in the philanthropy end, set up a meeting with Miss Cynthia. She can help you out. So finally, and we're done, and we'll take a couple questions. And I say this truthfully, you are a bright, hardworking young woman. You could easily find a job that would pay more than what the church can afford to pay you. So how do you value things? I mean, you took a pay cut to come here originally, and you're still, after 5 years, in the pay cut. So what's the value?
That's actually an easier answer than I think. I get a lot of joy from it, and really there's no dollar amount that you can put on my joy. And so I do have to take a paycheck so I can pay the bills, but really that's what my paycheck does, and I'm perfectly fine with that as long as I've got that joy there, and ministering to people, seeing people elevated, seeing God glorified, people come to Jesus, brings me a lot of joy.
One last thing. You are actually building quite an interesting team around you. Your mom was here today, and it's not babysitting. She's ministering. Mm-hmm. She was ministering to you, giving you options to your girls were able to be here at work with you, which is really cool because daycare is super expensive.
Yes.
But you have a pretty cool team. Tell us a little bit about those that help you here, that make your job and life easier and doable. Mm-hmm. And tell us a little about maybe who's coming on board and how that's going to help. Because you're going to be the best you with them.
Yes.
You're going to stinketh, as you said, without them. Same thing for me. I only can be the best version of me is when I cast a vision to the leadership in the church and they say, let's go. There is no way for me to be the best version of me without y'all. Zero. I have zero. I'm a dreamer. I'm a planner. I can see what's ahead of us. I know if we row the boat that way, I know where we're going. I've got that spiritual discernment, that gifting, but I can't do it by myself. And I know that very well. I have to have the church. I have to have them. They're the body. They're it. So tell us a little bit about your team, who you get. And it's an interesting little team you got put together. And tell us, somebody else might want to jump in and help out and make it work. Because you make things tick here. Without you, it's when you transfer over to doing more philanthropy work than that, than secretarial work, there's going to be a transition there. And so we're going to have new role players. But tell us who we got, how they make your job easier, and how you see that working.
Okay, so you heard my mom. She was here today. She's usually only able to be here on Wednesdays because I have a sister who also has a full-time job that she cannot take her children to work. And so she's off on Wednesdays, which means my mom can come here and help me. On a couple other days throughout the week, Miss Dawn has actually started coming and helping me. And she's really cool. She loves my girls, and that blesses my heart. And any mom that has, a friend that loves their children knows how much that means to them. And so
you need to pray that she sticks around a long time. Let me tell you, I've known Dawn all my life. She's a real one.
Yes.
And if you don't know what a real one is, you're not going to shake her. If she gets where her mind's set on something, good luck.
Yeah. So Miss Dawn's here, and what was cool was yesterday Selah started saying Mimi, and she does call one other person Mimi, but I'm pretty sure she was talking about Miss Dawn yesterday because she spent all day with her. So when I walk in there, I kept trying to go in and see because I still do nurse Ellie, and so I'll have to go in periodically and do that or whatever, and then I'll go in and check and see if she, everything's okay. And Miss Dawn would just say, "Shh, just go away. I got it. Can I rock them to sleep when it's, nap time and things like that?" So she was great with the kids. She loved being there. She told me today, she's like, "I just adore them." And so Miss Dawn's one person that helps me in that way. And when I got somebody up here with the kids, I'm able to do like a week's worth of stuff in a day. So that is great. And then I've also got people like Austin. I know he loves being called out, but he comes whenever he's not in California or, doing other things. And he comes and he stays late and cleans the church.
He's nationwide.
He's
homie.
nationwide.
You still at home, homie.
Well, anyways, he comes and he'll clean the church, and Austin always comes to me and says what needs to be done. And so he gets the task, he gets that done, gets the mission accomplished, and he goes on about his way. So he is all about the mission. And then I've also got Miss Tara, who has now started taking the finances, and that was my least favorite part about the job. So if we're just being honest, I do not like to do that part. So Miss Tara does all that now.
It's my least favorite when it's under budget.
Well, yeah, it's my least favorite.
I just get to look at it though.
Yeah, no. When I say the finance, I mean like the imputing and like looking at all the puzzles. I don't like that. That's
And
not
Tara's obsessive with it, so
I'm not.
good for her. I hate it.
Yeah, so she's been doing that for me, and then let's see, throughout the week, Miss Janet. Miss Janet is awesome as well. So she will come anytime she doesn't have the grandkids. She's also one of my cleaners, and the cleaning thing is a big deal because. We weren't able to round up Austin was out of town. Miss Janet had kids. A couple other things happened.
Reese was riding a donkey somewhere.
Reese was somewhere. Reese usually helps me as well. Reese usually helps with the cleaning, and he also helps with
Reese.
the BKids stuff. The friend.
Reese has my love.
He has your love in North Carolina tonight, so he's
love him.
again not here because he's there. But
People are like, hey, what do you mean about me riding a donkey? If he was here, that's what he'd want to know.
yes, it
He'd
would
really be cute. After everything was said and done, he'd be interested in that donkey. That's why I love him.
But I was saying the cleaning is very important because we spent until 2:00 on Thursday cleaning, and so that's almost a full day's work for me. So
I make way too much money doing what I do for y'all to pay me to clean. I mean, that's just being honest. You do not want to pay your pastor to clean because that's way too high of a bill.
yeah,
That's just not worth it. It really isn't. You don't want to do that. You don't want to pay somebody $30 an hour to vacuum the floor if you can help it.
yeah.
Or maybe Cullen does. Cullen just laughing. But you don't want to. I mean, really, you don't really want your paid ministers doing that because we don't get rich, but you don't want to like say, hey, we paid out $400 a day to have the church clean when we could get volunteers and do it free. It helps the church.
Yeah.
These people are big helps, not only with the cleaning but with financial aspect of it. So more gets done when we're able to work.
And then coming on board is Miss Kristen. And so Preacher got to speak with her. Something that does take a lot of time. I enjoy it, but it does take a lot of my time is the communications things. And I mean like making the graphics for Facebook. What? Does she not know? She knows.
Yeah. No, I want to know where she went. She was sitting right there.
Yeah. which
She
they're
has a
they're
baby,
watching.
too.
My mom put it on there, so she's
Babies.
hearing this. If you hadn't, told her the things. So, anyways,
No, she's excited about getting her job description, which I'm supposed to email you. You're supposed to email
Okay.
to Cullen.
okay. So she'll be doing some of the communication stuff. She'll be able to take
She told me
on
that.
the Facebook, posting those things out, doing the weekly handouts, the emails. Oh, and she'll be printing up BKids stuff because the preacher's going to really like this too because he is a very anti-print on Sunday person, which is a very good thing
When you
to
say
be.
I'm like it, that you know that when we talk, sometimes you're snarky,
There she is.
and when you say that I'm gonna like it, it could mean I'm gonna hate it.
No, you are going to like it.
Okay.
I'm saying you're going to like Kristen being on board because these things won't have to happen anymore because I don't always finish my tasks on time before Sunday morning, and then my kids get sick, and then Todd has to come run around like a chicken with his head cut off and make the printer run on
You
Sunday
know,
morning.
as
He
much
doesn't
as
wanna
Todd
do
was running around Sunday, I'm surprised there's not a hole in the wall where he didn't hit his head.
that.
He was bouncing everywhere, man. I think he did everything in the church. I looked over there. He was flipping a waffle,
He
and
said
by
he
the
didn't look in
time
the right spot.
I flipped the waffle, he was cooking me a waffle, and I walked back here, and he was printing. And I walked out of here, and he was back in the sound room. It's like Superman or something. He was walking through walls. I was like, dude, if you don't slow down, you're gonna run out the road here and end it all.
Yeah, he said you just didn't see the hole. You just ain't looking in the right spot.
Yeah, I don't need to see the holes.
So Kristen's going to be calling on board and doing some of those things.
And you've got great support. Like we call your dad, harass him.
Yes.
We call
Call
Brother
him a
Al
lot.
and harass him.
Yes.
We have Sam that works here, but we harass him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a work day Sam's putting together. If anybody wants to get involved, he's going to be doing some things on Saturday, including cleaning the sanctuary, setting up the chairs different, cleaning windows,
Okay.
inside and out, whatever Sam can do. Fixing that. If anybody can fix that right, I'm going to kiss you in the mouth. Okay, you stop. You backing up? Okay. I mean, whatever it takes, that's got to get fixed. That's got to get fixed. You better talk to Sam before you fix it, though. I'm telling you, bro, he's been looking at that thing for about 6 months. He's been looking at it and studying it. He could tell you the compression ratio of what kind of wood that is, how hot the fire was whenever they molded it. The man knows. He got a book that thick on that piece of wood. It's been studied. It's been analyzed. And now it's get finalized. Oh, okay. Next thing you know, Sam's be popping it off. Oh, God. Am I telling the truth? Would he not pop it off, Todd? He'd be like, am I lying?
Nope.
Okay. So don't ever work at a church is the end of where we're going to end this. If you're not called to do it, you're not going to do it. All right, does anybody have any questions for Miss Cynthia so we can go home? If y'all could ask her anything, I would love it because she hates being put on the spot. I gave her questions. She wrote down all her answers, so she got off kind of easy. Me and Brother Scott winged it, and then, basically me and Miss Tara winged it and just made it happen. I gave Cullen his questions in advance, and he said a lot of things that I didn't understand, but he did a good job. I don't think we did at all. We didn't. So, but you wrote a lot. That's why I had to do that. So if you have a question, Miss Cynthia, please throw one out the blue because she has prepared for all of mine and kind of got an easy route here.
Good.
No, you don't get to say good. No, that's not your role. We're waiting. No. No. Is it a question?
No, it's just a compliment.
Okay. Tara, you got a question?
See, I told you she was a friend.
All right, I'm looking at your whole family. You got a whole row. Somebody's got a question. Austin, you got a question.
That's a good question.
I always wondered if you like me. Now I know. You don't, but that's fine. We still love you. All right. Todd, you got any questions?
My goodness. I don't cook, so I don't know.
That's what I was fixing to say. I was wondering about that. I'm like, is he asking himself? Because he cooks. Wow.
That's because he cooks some hot, spicy stuff.
Okay, one thing to kind of throw out here, just to let y'all know, we both married the same type personality people.
Yeah.
Which is very helpful in ministry because we're the same type, and then they're the same type, and so that works out. There's which basically means I kind of go with the flow and whatever. I think Tara does that so it can be my fault when things go wrong. Which happens very often. Okay, thank God for goodness. Thank God for grace. You will be getting a text message tomorrow, right? They'll be getting a text message, email. Open it. Do
Tomorrow
something.
or Friday.
Tomorrow or Friday. Yeah, Thursday then Friday. Okay, awesome. Don't miss Sunday morning. Brother Todd's going to be bringing a great message. And don't miss Sunday evening because that is the nitty-gritty about a lot of things that are going on. And let's also don't miss that we're supposed to have screens for Rejoice. Okay, it's in the bag. Send a bag. Tag it and bag it. That's it. All right. Lord, bless the food we all going to go eat because we're hungry. And thank you for the families that's going to stay over and help us get this place straight so it don't all fall on Miss Cynthia and Brother Todd and Brother Sam tomorrow. We love our church family. Thank you for letting us be together tonight. In Jesus' name.